Hey everyone, how is everyone doing on this Tuesday night, Tuesday, July 30th, 2024? I have been depressed, I have been in fucking pain, I have been angry, and just like everything in between, you know. Well, pain I could, pain, which in case of like sciatica, the acceptance part, I think that has been difficult for me, the acceptance part that, I haven't been able to play fucking golf or go hiking in the past 3 months when this is the time up in New York here. And then on top of that, I think I mentioned that when I did my brief podcast, the whole thing with my wife's visa is just, we're trying to get her here through something else. And I had to blame myself. Maybe I just screwed it up myself first. And then I'm blaming my brother-in-law and my sister, and I don't want to get into the fucking details, all right? And just that whole thing, I was just expecting it to be something that would work out, for her, for me, for both of us. So after almost a year and a half of our marriage, actually more than that, close to 2 years now, that we would be together, she would be here. Yeah. Hopefully, her immigration thing, that interview happens, and then hopefully I can leave with some fucking peace. And that was the whole thing that just like threw me off guard. Just like, and I'm sorry, I apologize to her first, because I think I screwed it up myself. And so, I've been out because I wanted to like talk to people. I didn't want to just stay home, and I just wanted to be with at least some human beings, and and some friends that I know from hanging out in these places, male friends, and they have been very supportive. They've been very supportive, and they understand the whole thing. Even my I don't want to name the names. My neighbor, I was just walking into the building. I parked my car downstairs, and then him and I were talking, and he was asking me, and then you were talking about this whole thing of like while walking in the hallway. We have a border that's open, and that all I'm trying to do is to basically get my wife here legally. If you're at the southern border, you can basically just walk in. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. I'm not doing that. All right? I'm not doing that. I'm trying to do something legal. But in the midst of trying to do this whole thing, I think all of us, whoever we were trying, we just fucking threw a monkey wrench into this whole thing. And I just, I get it. I admit it. It's my fucking fault first, you know. In any case, so I was hoping that she'd be here at her home and just whatever. It is what it is. All right. Um, it is what it is. Now, like I said, we just have to wait for her immigration thing. Hopefully soon, sooner than later. And let's just leave this conversation at that. All right, because I'm depressed. I'm sorry. I am depressed. And yeah, weekend I was out and just because I needed to talk to people. I think that's what it was, you know. So once again, I appreciate, the support and, even one word, man, one word of like support, from someone that it's a big deal in this world of weirdness. I shouldn't say weirdness, but I mean, this is a weird, I mean, for some of us, it is, you know, unfortunate. And I just finished some work and I ordered some Chinese food yesterday, Asian food, and I had that for leftovers because I was kind of depressed over the weekend, and I just, sort of, I got to a point where I said I need to talk to people. I just needed to talk to people, and that's exactly what I did. Because I think with suppressing whatever you're suppressing inside, and you can't like it's not like you're getting out your whatever your suppressed emotions, but just like things in hand, the things in hand, it's good to talk about things in hand that actually don't go in your fucking way. It's like a therapy. It's called a therapy. Like if you go to a therapist, the first thing he or she will say, "Okay, what's going on? I mean, did you work on the things that I told you to work on, or just randomly? Well, what's going on? Anything new? What's bothering you, huh?" And with friends, you can basically like talk to them without using them as your therapist. Same thing them, they can talk to me. I'm a little older than them, you know. So in this world, we are born, and sometimes when you get to a to that level of some sort of hitting a fucking bottom, right? You realize that, you realize that you actually didn't come here, this fucking world, you know. Oh yeah, be positive, be like a fucking, like Buddhist and, be positive. Yes, by default, this fucking life is a struggle by default. By the virtue of all of us being born onto this planet, life can be a struggle. Yeah, my struggle is real, but then there are other people who are struggling like, you know, by default. Remember, by default, and I was actually just listening to Jordan Peterson. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast. He said the same thing. Suffering, the suffering. By default, it's a suffering. By default, it's a struggle. So when you realize that, and I'm going to quote his words, actually, Jordan, then you have to realize that you have to live with sacrifices. You know, it's how you actually give in to giving your love and giving your best effort. Maybe because I don't accept things too soon. Maybe in my fucking mind, I live in a utopian world. That there was a possibility, right? That things could go sideways. In any case, let's just try to stay positive as much as I can. I'm sorry. Because this whole thing with this is like, I mean, I have other examples of my own people from the fucking mountains. They are waiting for their wives, and some of them even with kids. It's like butting against the wall. Your head is going to butt against a wall when it comes to immigration. You know, and this is the struggle. This is the struggle. You know, what can you do? I guess I'm just babbling right now because I realized that I made the mistake. Maybe I didn't prepare my wife properly for this. Both of us got overconfident. She was running like from one goddamn embassy to the other, and just, and I could feel her struggle, you know. In any case, all right, let's leave it at that. All right, let's leave it at that because it just makes me more depressed. So, this is probably, another lesson. Like, again, life is a fucking struggle. And then every time you do something, it becomes a lesson learned, failed act. And then it's like you fell down the fucking ladder of like climbing a fucking mountain back to the fucking ground, whatever, zero or ground one. That's what you feel like, you know. That's what I felt like. That's what I feel like still. Let's just continue with the word sacrifice. I think that's what it is. I think without bringing any religious testaments, this world must be a sacrifice of somebody, right? Some alien being. At the same time, you can say, oh, yeah, the same alien being is also making many people suffer if they brought this world. But then how does that work? How does both the bad and the good actually work in this fucking world? People who are suffering, will they eventually get some fucking reward for that? You know, maybe spiritual reward where they don't become as like worked up, as angry as I become. I don't. You know, sometimes I feel like I'm an fucking unfit to this goddamn world, like an outlier. All right, and I'm trying to live a normal fucking life. And this fucking sciatica, what next is gonna come for me? I have no fucking idea. I was out with a friend last night, you know. Was that last? No, yesterday actually, day before. And he was telling me about meridians. Just in case if any of you get this fucking sciatica, we have to help each other out, right? He was talking about meridians. Meridians means I don't know what the fuck meridians are. I have to talk to my chiropractor tomorrow. That I have to basically squeeze on my meridians in my leg, unless he's talking about like the fucking nerves with the meridians. Uh, but hey, suck it up, man. Suck it up. You know, suck it up and accept everything, including your own mistakes, including sciatica, including everything. You know, this is part of life. This is part of fucking life. Hail to the alien. But then what do you do? What do you do? You gotta live life in this fucking realm of dimensions and time, in peace with everybody and in whatever you call it. I don't know. I don't want to use the word love. Yeah, that's an overrated word, I think. Because the problem is that all that gets thrown away. When we realize that, oh, not us, maybe us too, and also other people are involved here, and then, they're responsible for whatever. That whole like word love, yeah, you could say, oh, word love is where everything is actually set up as the fabric of this universe. The fabric of this universe is the mystery. And if you think about trying to figure out that fabric of the universe that holds everything together. I'm not talking about the force from Star Wars, but that's just fiction. Some force, force of law. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like, when did I get the fucking love? You know? But that's exactly what Jordan Peterson was talking about. I think that you got to learn how to sacrifice things in your life. But don't be a doormat either, you know. Don't be a doormat either. People would basically just run you over or whatever. You got to speak for yourself. Assertion. Yes, assert you. People don't do that. Maybe some people do, but the whole world, you would feel someday that the whole world is fucking running you over, right? It's a doormat, it's stepping on you. When you get to a point where you say to yourself, man, listen, yeah, you made mistakes. You make mistakes. Other people make mistakes. Forgive them. Forgive yourself first. No? This one, forgiveness. Forgive yourself first for whatever mistakes you have made in this fucking world. If they're still bothering you, I'm not saying that I have, robbed banks or killed people or whatever, right? Whatever stupid mistakes, even. Because us human beings, some of us are just sort of like, in this perfectionist sort of mental world we live in. When you see that world is not perfect or things don't go your way as you had expected, then you become angry, you become sad, you become depressed, you become. How do these messiahs, okay, I don't want to sound like any anything other than who I am, just a human being born on this planet. How do they actually overcome these things? Through prayer, through yoga, through deep breaths. All those terms are also deep breaths. Yes, they're scientific, right? All those other terms are also like overrated. But one has to find their own path. What path is that? Great. What path am I trying to find? Peacefulness, tranquility. At the same time, I'm not. Am I asking too much if I'm saying that my wife should be here? This is her home. She and I should be together. And then I get worked up when things don't happen for both of us. I don't know. Let's switch gears here. So let's go back to what they were talking about. What it's not like, you're going to sacrifice yourself as a lamb among the wolves, but it will feel, it may feel that that's what it is. But then you have to be so strong to get out of that mindset, you know, because your mind actually tricks you. Yeah, some things are real, some things are real. It's not like what I just told you guys didn't happen. Now I had to be like, oh, it's the universe. What can I do? You know, that mentality is also not good. It's actually not, what's that word? Productive, beneficial. So sacrifice. What people actually do sacrifice is out of the genuineness, out of the genuineness is not that they basically sacrifice whatever they have for others, but you have to give up. You have to accept. I think that's the word I want to use as a analogy to sacrifice. Accept. Accept some of the things. Don't they say in AA? Accept the things that you like, accept the things that you don't like. Is that what it is? I don't know. Accept is who you are and accept the world and other people who is who they are. You can't change them. Try to change yourself positively if possible. That actually gives you more peace, tranquility. What? Is this my lecture to myself? Yes, this is a lecture to myself because I don't want to say it was a life and death situation for me and my wife, but it just felt like that. It's like, because now we don't know when she's going to be interviewed. We have a fucking idea. It's life. Is is never promising. Okay. You want me to explain to you what it means when like the people like Buddhists say, oh, this world, by default life, when you come to this fucking planet, it's a struggle. You know what that means? You know what that means? Something happening on in Skype, sorry. I don't know why I'm using Skype. Of course, right? Because into my fucking phones in the middle of sciatica. So I had to talk to my wife. And where the hell I was going with this conversation? That I lost the chain of thought. I was just thinking about this explanation to the word struggle and the suffering. Okay, I think the first thing is that this world does not promise you anything. There's no promise. There's no promise. There's no, hey, welcome to planet Earth. You're born now. We're gonna promise you XYZ. Some people, just win by being too, what do you call, sort of aggressive, assertive. No, I shouldn't say that. Aggressive. or maybe some are really so good looking that they don't even have to like fight for anything. Or some people are born with a fucking silver spoon in their mouth. I mean, that's one aspect, right? There's no promise. Then what do? You just go by as you are, as what you have, thanking the universe, being grateful for what you have, and you look down and see the people who don't even have anything. That's one way to look at the fucking universe, right? But what if you are one of them down there? See? The little guy always suffers. A little guy are the little woman, like hobbits and the goons and goblins from those fucking like Harry Potter movies. All right? Means little means unfortunate, the one who does not have a lot. But they always suffer. Why? And that littleness can be anything. No love. Oh, yeah, of course, no money for whatever reason, right? Unless you lost it on fucking gambling, that's a different story. But you're born into an extremely like poor family, just the unfortunate circumstances. So there's no promise. There's no fucking promise. And I'm not saying that if there's no promise, then what are you going to do? You're going to just like blow through the fucking fields of Egypt up to fucking wherever. Isn't that what our ancestors did? The first civilization in Egypt and in Turkey. I I don't want to talk about that. All right. But the first principles, when you realize that this world is a struggle in many ways, think about it this way. Let's say that you're going to a friend's party or somewhere, you're going to a like a like a dinner with like 10 other people. You're expecting a good vibe and this and that, blah blah blah, right? You don't go there with that attitude. Because if something is not it is according to your mental plan or your expectations, you're gonna get worked up. That's what this world is. So when you come to this fucking world, nobody handed me a fucking like manual before I came here. Hey, you gotta do this. You can't do this. You can't do that. You gotta follow this. All of us, many of us, are just a product of our environment, our upbringing, whoever we have learned, whatever we have learned from. And then our own, judgment, our own conscience, intelligence. our own lack of lack thereof. Sometimes that's when we make stupid fucking decisions. Our OCD. How about some of us who actually were not fortunate to have those? What are those things called? The pheromones, not pheromones, in our brains when we were extremely young. Sorry, I had to look this one up because I don't want to sound like an asshole just saying something without any basis. Pheromones. Pheromones is different. What are the neurotransmitters? Is that a neurotransmitter that actually helps you overcome like depression and all that? Overcome depression. Let's talk about it talks about serotonin, dopamine, right? But there is I'm not saying that I'm depressed, like clinically speaking, but uh, oh my freaking God, I'm not gonna be able to find this now. I'm going to say lack of, there's something that actually lacks in early childhood. Lack of early childhood. Neurotransmitters. Oh my God. Now, everything is AI. So AI basically tells you, biosynthesis of factors like tetrahydrobiopterin. The hell's that? That's not what I was looking for. Hydrophins? I'm gonna sound so fucking dumb right now. Hydrophin. Yeah, that's Jesus Christ. Um, but next time, if I remember, I'll tell you because right now I feel like I can't find this. Um, it's not it's not serotonin. It's not dopamine. It's not hydrogen, obviously. Uh, but what's his name talks about that? Gabor, the Hungarian guy, isn't he like a psychologist? He talks about that. Look it up. Look it up on YouTube. Maybe I can find him. Uh, Gabor Mate, lake of. Let's just say chemicals in childhood, because he explains it in a very um he talks about this in a very layman's term, you know. Well, he talks about like the childhood trauma. But in any case, so there is a chemical actually that is supposed to develop when you are really like young, right? And that if it doesn't develop because of, you had a trauma, means some sort of a trauma where you were not with your, mother in the first few weeks, whatever the hell it is, right? That actually can create depression in later ages. All right? I don't want to sound like a fucking psychologist, but who's responsible for that? For those kids, huh? So that's the default struggle for many people in this universe, in this life. Now, and then the circumstances, right? Circumstances, I don't know, bad relationships, bad whatever, like financial decisions, bad jobs later in life. I'm sorry. My podcast is going to be one of the most depressing podcasts tonight. All right. But on a positive note, what's a positive note, man? I don't know. I mean, I can't play fucking golf. I can't do anything. I can't be with my wife and she's not here. And just like, is there anything positive in my life right now? Or maybe work. I'm alive. I don't know. You know what? I will end the podcast with a note, a different note. All right. What is that note, sir? So Saturday, actually, I was out in Long Island with a family friend's house. He did a barbecue, and another his old friend from when they came to this country in 1980s. You know, I came here right after 9/11, and they were all construction guys. Like hardcore construction. They still are. I don't do construction with hands, but I do blueprints and basically computer work, right? Actually, I have to get up early tomorrow, so I'm going to actually close my podcast earlier. Sorry. I mean, it's what is it? 10:30. Yeah, I'm gonna watch something and then I'm gonna basically just pass the F out early. And what is it? No, sir. Okay, so all right. Sorry, I was having all these thoughts, you know. Am I going to make up something just to end the conversation on a positive note? I think it's really not a positive note, unfortunately. I'm sorry. But you know how stressful like this whole like, I think I say this all the time, like without any like balance of life, how stressful life can be. And that's why I think I just yesterday, after I had that conversation with them, and they were talking about, how stressful. So one of the guys he was talking about And he's sort of right. He was talking about, he basically goes out to the mountains for 3 months. And then as soon as he enters, like JFK or one of those airports, right? It is the stress is there already. Yeah, that's what New York is. That's what, you know. And I was telling them that, yeah, the problem is that now, when I go away for a month or so, whatever, right? My business suffers, billing and this and that and blah blah blah, right? But then another architect actually, I worked with actually, and he went through this sciatica thing, and then he was saying the same thing. You know, you gotta like, he was like, "Hey man, listen, I want to take up more work, but the problem is that I have." It's not a problem. It's good to have work, it keeps you busy, obviously pays your bills and all that, right? But then he was like, "Okay, I mean, I'm not going to basically live life just working, and then and the same thing for I think many of us. We realize that, oh, all our fucking lives, all what we have been doing is just work. And then just like over the weekend, you go out or go for dinner, and that stressful life, especially construction here in New York, New Jersey. You know, it never fucking ends. Never fucking ends. Then what do? You just say, fuck it. I'm just gonna like spend some time with my loved ones. We're gonna just go away somewhere and we're gonna just fucking relax. You know, the way we have been actually sort of brainwashed here in New York, a place like New York, or I've been doing this for what now, 9 years, 10 years, working for myself actually, 11 years. Before that, I mean, I didn't really care. I was working for other companies and blah blah blah. And so the stress of life, you know, it gets you. It gets you, I think, for me, and I'm just taking all these like words from all these colleagues in the construction industry, architectural, engineering, this and that, right? Or any other friends, what they're telling me. And so I'm just taking all this information in, and then I'm looking at my own life, I'm looking at my own life, like hopefully with a fresh perspective. It's like, man, stress of life. Why do you take the stress of life? The other stress of life, biggest stress of life for us is, especially for guys up here, and for guys like from where we come from, without our wives and without our loved ones, living lonely, like being a fucking cog in the wheel. That's the other fucking stress out part. All right, what do you do? Yeah, the loneliness is a real fucking thing. Yeah, it is a real fucking thing. All right. So I'm hoping that, I can just spend some time with my wife. Unfortunately, this whole fucking thing didn't happen, but I'm hoping that we can spend some time somewhere, wherever it is, even our own mountains where I come from. I mean, I'm American, this is my fucking home, and this is supposed to be her home too, you know. thanks to immigration. They're dragging their whatever, you know, this whole thing processes, you know, because I mean, regardless of how like she gets worked up or how much I get worked up because of this whole thing, but we know that the bottom line is that we're not together. We're supposed to be together. We're not like in our 20s, you know. Oh yeah, it's gonna happen, man. Why are you so worried? Oh, yeah. So I'm hoping that, and that's my positive note. I'm hoping that you all take, this like it's just like shut your like, stressful life away from like that stress. The hell am I saying? Shut your stressful life away from that stress. The stress of like whatever stress you feel like work stress is a big thing. Not having families up here, for relationships, this and that, right? And it's not an easy thing. Was that a positive note or was that even a negative note? More of a negative note, sir. But you get my point. Point is that you gotta relax. Take your time out, you know? More important. Otherwise, this life just becomes like a, reckless sort of like, especially up here in New York, man. Everything is like, oh, that's why we like us, it's like a brainwashing thing, right? This is how it is. This is how we're going to work, and this is how the industry works. Let's say construction or I don't know the other industries you guys are, anybody else it's in, same thing, right? No time for like relaxation. And so that's it. That's my note, and I presume you all are having a great week. This isn't this the time for vacation as we speak, right? As I'm already worked up, already like stressed out, already like depressed, sort of, you know. In any case, uh, one thing about the what movie I wanted to actually see, the new ones. What movie I want to see? I saw, I think, for the gazillion time, I saw Interstellar yesterday, where they talk about, like time being a dimension, and then these beings actually create this portal through time, are human beings from the future. Isn't that the whole promise of that fucking premise of that movie? I don't know. But that's a great movie, by the way. I'll watch it like again. And what else is there? There's no fucking shows to watch really. There are no other movies to watch. I don't know. Any blockbuster movies which have just come out? I mean, it's summer, right? Doesn't actually Tom Cruise have a Mission Impossible, one of those in summer? He probably made enough money to say, you know what, I'm done. In any case, I will see you all. I'm sorry, I apologize for having such a sort of like depressed podcast, but sometimes, you got to you got to say your heart. You got to say what you're thinking, you know, for all you like four of my listeners out there. I'll see you all next weekend or Monday.